Kompa from Ohio. How you doing, Kompa?
I'm doing pretty good, albeit I've been a bit confused the last couple weeks.
Okay, well, Kompa doesn't have any preferred pronouns, so we'll just run with whatever feels good. How can I help you on whatever you're confused about?
Hi, so originally I was trying to track down Forrest, but I've been watching a lot of the videos on these channels, specifically the Atheist Experience, and
okay, stop. The Atheist
sorry.
Experience is not on this channel, and Forrest isn't here today, but Forrest and I will be doing the Sunday show here on Sunday. But how can I help? What is it you need help with?
So I was trying to wrap my head around something that people in my family and other Christians have been like rapping onto me lately in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
An idea of epistemic justification, which I'm still not sure what that actually means.
It means there's sufficient. It means there's sufficient evidence pointing to a particular proposition to warrant accepting that the proposition is most likely true.
Okay. So could you help me in explaining why there's such a big difference between burden of proof for the atheist, quote unquote, position and just not being convinced versus them telling me stuff like, oh, the existence is that, how else did other things get here? Because I feel like I don't do a good enough job trying to explain that on my own.
Nobody has a burden of proof. There is no burden of proof for I am not convinced. Welcome back, Jimmy.
Yeah, make them call us. That's your best bet.
But how could there possibly be a burden of proof for I'm not convinced?
That's what's been confusing me, because I was always told that if you are going to have that position, I have to be able to back up that the evidence they, quote unquote, provide is not sufficient.
What you're saying is that they're presenting their claim and their purported evidence for it, and they want you to prove them wrong.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, that's not how this works. They have to demonstrate that their position is reasonably warranted. And if they present something that is ultimately unfalsifiable, that means there is no way to prove it wrong, which means you couldn't possibly prove them wrong. Nobody could. And their position is still unwarranted.
Okay.
Often enough, you may be able to just simply get away. If what I think is happening, it may be that you just need to start asking them to source their claims. It sounds like they're sort of saying, well, you know, what's the dumb stuff they say? DNA has been proven to be a code that's descriptive, and therefore that must mean X, Y, or Z. And then if you ask them for a source of the scientific conclusion that that is correct, a lot of times that just goes, well, I don't need to give a source. I don't need to give a source to you for, why don't you trust me? Are you saying I'm a liar?
Yeah, because a lot of it has just been, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to waste too much of your time, but I want to be able to kind of take more of a stand, I guess, this kind of thing, because a lot of Christian views have been affecting my life negatively, and I'm trying to stand up for myself, but I'm not exactly sure how to word things, and I'm still trying to weed through that process as of right now. And you guys seem to be extremely good at what you do, so I thought I would ask, do you mind if I ask for clarification on a couple other things?
No, go ahead.
Succinctly, please.
Okay, so one thing that kept coming up was the idea of how the Bible's word gets misinterpreted all the time. And I'm not sure how to articulate the fact that through all its interpretations and through all the bad stuff that it says, it just does not outweigh the good. Because from my standpoint, I kind of agree with something I think Matt has said a couple times before, where you can't really find the good isolated in a particular book that we couldn't get outside of that. And to them, they don't think that that applies, because so much of the stuff that we do abides by their stuff. And it is, to me, it just feels like a false claim that doesn't line up.
If I can, my best advice is to watch a way more episodes. And it sounds self-serving, but seriously, it sounds like mostly what you need to do is have some guidance on how to articulate some thoughts that you already sort of understand, but maybe don't have the language to use. And I would just say watch more and start picking up that language. I'd also keep in mind, if I was you, because I think you said this was family, I don't know of anyone in the line who, while I know people on the line, including myself, whose members of their family have eventually left, I don't know anyone on the line who would say that they have successfully argued their family out of believing. And so you also have to ask yourself, what is your motivation and stuff? And are you the right person? Why are you having these arguments with them? And is it worth it? Personally, if I could have had a loving family, I wouldn't have had any of the arguments I had. But that was never an option in the first place, so it worked out.
Yeah, because the main reason that I try to get this through to my family, and I mean specifically my mother, is because she kind of uses a lot of stuff in the Bible as a bit of evidence for the idea that I'm already quote unquote perfect. So I shouldn't want need to change my body, in the sense that, because I personally identify as trans, but for the past 5 to 6 years or so, where I felt those things, I haven't been able to actually act on them. And when I came out to my mom, I basically got the ultimatum of go back in the closet permanently or lose a house and lose all my ties. And right now, even though I'm of age to make my own decisions, she's still housing me while she helps me pay for college. So I've been trying to get her to... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the situation's a lot more clear now. But so first of all, if somebody tells you, hey, according to the Bible, this is true. Okay. The best thing I can do is say, I don't believe the Bible. You're going to have to come with something more or something else. I'm not convinced that's actually true. But the other thing is, the Bible doesn't say you're perfect. So if your mom is coming at you saying you're perfect, well, that's not true. The Bible doesn't say that at all. But so it's weird to be using the Bible for that, but it may just do a thing of, this might be the God doesn't make mistakes. He didn't put you like in the wrong body. And that's both a misunderstanding of trans issues and the Bible, and biology, psychology, and sociology. It seems to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, by all means, you should maybe call into the Transatlantic Call-In show tomorrow night and talk to them, as they have much more experience on this. Couple cis dudes here trying to offer that their thoughts on that issue. But when it comes to the claims of religion, if you're a dependent, if your mom is in control of the roof over your head and your purse strings and everything else, as much as it sucks, you might have to temporarily just suck it up. It is, start making the plans to find your way to be out from underneath her roof, out from underneath her purse strings. It may take a while. It may take some effort. And maybe during that time, while you're saying, look, I don't want to fight about this. I am who I am. I guess while I'm living here, I will try not to make this a huge problem for you, but I feel the way I feel. I am who I am. I'm not convinced of your religious claims at all. And you can point me to the Bible every single day, and it will never on its own change my mind. I need supporting evidence. But there's lots of questions, and I'm sure that, Loxander, Ben, and others may have thoughts about what what questions to best kind of point at your mom. As a matter of fact, Arden, who's the producer and our producer here tonight and a frequent host there, Arden, did you have thoughts on this call to add?
I actually talked to Kompa a couple weeks ago. They called into Takis. But no, I don't think I have too much to add on to what you've already said. But I know
I have something.
how difficult of a situation it is. Go for
Jimmy
it.
has
Jimmy.
something.
Like Matt, when you clarified the situation, I realized that you don't even know you're asking for a different bit of advice than you're asking for. There's two different ways one could think of having these conflicts. And one is a goal to win. And it's shitty, but it's the way a lot of us are feeling, even though as far as winning goes, there's not a clear winner and loser, but I'm not on here debating because I think I'm going to lose. And that's one way. That's not what you should do with your mom. I would recommend you go and look up street epistemology, because there's a very good way to have interactions where instead of it being, I was right, you were wrong, or I made you look so dumb, the outcome is more, look, I disagree, but at least I now have a line of thought to this where I can see in a way that I can respect that you disagree. And I accept your disagreement from that level. To some degree, that kind of stuff even worked on my family, despite it not working completely. Do I know that that is actually going to get you everything you want? Not at all. However, I'll bet you it will improve your situation. And you should actually focus less on debating like Forrest or Matt might, and more on discussing, like his name is Anthony Magnabosco. That's the name of the channel, who is very, very good at it. Also, if you want to look at like Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels, he talks about it on his channel a lot. And I would recommend that is the style of conversation that you're trying to have, much more than debate, because we don't make friends on these debate shows, not by debating, not often. And then second piece of advice, you need to go to recoveringfromreligion.org and get into some of their like group Zoom meetings.
Yeah, because there's just been so much, and I was trying to just write it out for college, knowing that the people at college are very supportive and whatnot. It just got to a point where my mom will essentially like throw shade at me over it. But then when I ask her to sit down and talk about it so I can try to present things to her, for example, I'll show her articles from the World Health Organization, and she'll just go on a tangent about how she doesn't actually trust the government because all the people doing that are either trying to control you or make money. And then we go on a loop and like, okay, why am I even trying to do this? But then she brings it to me and it's like, okay, I feel like I have to defend myself so she's not just walking all over me.
Street epistemology will not require you to bring a single claim, piece of evidence, or anything. It's a way of basically learning a secular humanist version, not even necessarily that, just a secular version of the Socratic method that's just highly effective and invokes empathy, or at least sympathy in the interlocutor. So, yeah, I mean, even with all that clarification, my advice is going to be the exact same thing.
One thing I'll note is your mom doesn't trust the government, trust Jesus, trust the Bible. And the other thing that she might not trust is you. And
I know she doesn't.
And all of this stuff is seemingly new to her. And it's very likely that the algorithms have been feeding her right-wing, gender-critical, turf talking points and fear-mongering. When you have a presidential candidate who's like, she wants to do transgender. I can't do it. Jimmy, can you do the transgender operation in the bathroom?
They're transing the dogs.
There you go. So when you have a presidential candidate who's spewing stuff out and it's fear-mongering, if you go through the last debate, it's like, she's a Marxist. It's going to be worse than Venezuela. She wants to trans illegal immigrants in prison. They want to take away your guns. They're eating the cats and dogs. I mean, this is just a parade of fear-mongering. And for people like a previous caller tonight, and perhaps like your mom, I don't know your mom, I've never had a conversation with her, but based on what you said, for those people, this is terrifying. And they're finding themselves in a world that seems to be changing faster than they can keep up with and in ways that they can't begin to comprehend. The internet has been an incredible boon because we have incredible access to knowledge and information, but we also have more incredible access to misinformation and fear mongering than ever. And, once upon a time, advertising companies would put someone in a lab coat because they know that had gravitas. Like, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Trident for people who chew gum. The key being most dentists might not recommend anyone chew gum. Their recommendation might be don't freaking chew gum. It's not good for you. But if you're going to, Trident's better than some of the other ones. And that might get you to this. But if they put somebody in a lab coat, that used to carry some sort of weight. But they kind of overdid it. And now nobody trusts people because they're in a lab coat. What they trust is the people who are saying, they just put them in a lab coat to fool you, because that sounds insightful. So every fucking bozo on the internet who is like, oh, the government's just out to get you, they're all taking things that are true and respinning them and amplifying them to a conspiracy theory narrative. I can imagine what it's like for your mom and perhaps my mom and other people's mom to wake up in a world that's just absolutely terrifying. And so maybe in the conversations, just be like, I will talk to you about anything you want, Mom, as long as the conversation goes both ways. I'm an adult now. You could be funny and go, I go both ways. I don't know if you do, but I mean, that might be a funny joke as well to throw in there. It'd probably piss your mom off. But you can say, I'm willing to have any conversation as long as it's bidirectional, as long as we are able to talk to each other, ask questions openly. As soon as it becomes you lecturing me, I don't have an interest in it anymore, because you don't have evidence for your positions and you're denying fundamentally who I know I am. And that's incredibly disrespectful, and that's not love.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell you the truth, it feels like really, it's an almost awakening thing to just have someone say that. There have been so many people, partially because so many people I go to college with are religious, but there's just people that tell me, oh, you have to try to sort it out. I mean, she's your mother and whatnot. And it's been something like so weird, because my close friends from high school I still hang out with, they just like, they're always telling like, oh, the stuff that she does is not something you should be doing to your kid. And now I'm at this point where I'm just kind of I'm almost just being faithful that it works out, when I know for certain that I'm probably just going to go no contact once college is over.
She had you. You didn't. She gave birth to you. You didn't have a choice in the matter. You owe her nothing. If she wants to have the relationship, I think it's kind of you to say, hey, Mom, I would like to, but here are the boundaries, and they're hard boundaries. So if you can't abide them, you got to go.
Dan Savage used to tell everybody when it came to like coming out as gay, that you should give everybody a year. 1 year to be awful, 1 year to ask the stupid questions, 1 year to make you repeat yourself over and over and over again. And then that's where you draw the line. And after that, it's done. I don't know if a year is an absolute solid mark for everybody. Every family is going to be different. But from your mom's perspective, you have changed the nature of this relationship. It doesn't mean it's your fault. Doesn't mean you have to that you are to blame, but you're the one in the relationship that changed. And so from her perspective, this is something you did. From your perspective, I presume this isn't something you did. It's just something you are. This is the way things are. And you are learning and, getting a better understanding of you and everything that goes into that. And she's not done that. And so from her perspective, you're the one that changed, and she might be mad at you. She might blame you. She might have to go through the various stages of grief of, hey, I'm losing, the child I thought I had, and it looks like I'm going to be forced to accept a child I don't know and don't understand. I mean, it's a big deal. And that doesn't mean that you don't owe anybody an explanation. You shouldn't let anybody walk all over you. Your mom doesn't own you, and she should not be able to control you. But you are currently under her roof, under her purse strings a little bit, and she's going through a lot. So maybe just say, let's shelve this for a while, talk about other things. Let's bring this up when we're both in the mood. And we need to just agree that at any point, if any of us feels emotionally overwhelmed, we can just stick a pin in it and leave and go on to do something else with no yelling or ill feelings afterwards.
Because that's like the weird line that my mom's kind of been drawing. Because like you mentioned, she would be losing a child and having to come to grasp with the one that she now has. She's drawn like a fine line in the sand due to religious beliefs, and has told me, hold on, I have the paper where I wrote it down because it got to me so bad. Without a son, I don't have a child. I didn't spend 18 years of my life trying to raise a B word. I don't want to get you like demonetized or anything. But I rather have a dead son than have a daughter that I never wanted. And it was like that was like the thing that broke me.
I'm just go no contact.
Yeah.
He's already said that's probably what you're going to do. Good, do it. And then see how she feels after a year of that or whatever the time is. See if she stands by it. See if that's who she is. Because what's the worst case? The worst case is you find out that that is the darkness in your mother's heart, and don't waste your time on it. I wish I had wasted less time on members of my family. I think your instinct to go no contact makes a lot of sense. And no contact doesn't have to mean forever.
I agree.
Unfortunately, cycles of abuse usually need some amount of separation time, even if you plan to come back.
Yep. It may still be the case that your mom just needs time. But what's currently happening is she's basically telling you she will not accept you. And I don't think that that's likely to change if you give in. So my best recommendations for you are kind of where we started, which is find a way to get your independence. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know, by the way, if you need to lie to stay alive and continue and finish your education, lie. It's it's the notion that lying is immoral is nonsense. If you're doing it to save your life, if you're doing it to, save your personal welfare and stuff like that, if you've tried the other options and you have nothing, I hereby bless you to lie straight up to your mom's face if you need to, because she's the one that's making it necessary. She's the one that's making it not safe for you, and you need to work on finding your independence. And then maybe at a later time, she'll come around and you'll be able to have some conversations, and maybe she'll be fine with a daughter or a son or a non-binary person. People can change. Some of them will surprise you, but that doesn't mean you need to let them walk over you while they're trying, if it doesn't look like they're trying to change or for whatever reason. I don't have anything more to add on this comment. We should.
I think we gave. I think we gave you a ton to think about.
Miserable situation that I really feel bad you're in.
Rewatch the call, Com. Make sure you catch it all.
Yeah, I'm sorry I took so much of your time. I wasn't planning.
No, you're fine.
Apologize.
We were very happy for the call. Thank you for reaching out, and keep us updated. When you make a decision about what changes you're going to make, how you decide to draw a line, especially consider calling into Transatlantic Call-In Show to let them know what you did and what resulted from it, because they're going to have more trans listeners who are going to benefit from your lived experience, so that maybe they don't have to suffer as much as you do.
That's true.
Got it.
Thanks so much, Com.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate what you guys do a lot. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Com.
Big hugs to you and all the best.
Hey, come on, man. We gotta promote that clip we all just watched.
Well, I'd rather not shill.
Okay, well, Daddy has a $2,000 a month Red Oak habit, and I am your production god, and you will shill when I tell you to shill. Dance for me, baby.
God damn it. Why did my life come to this? Go to patreon.com/call-the-line and donate. God damn it.
This is what happens when we let live chatters write our scripts.